sir. That just Kitty Candy in the corner. 39 went on here. You Mr. Lumpkin. 337-820-584. See what the problem is.
Welcome to Ask the Edmonds Cop. I'm Teresa Whipple here with Sergeant Damian Smith from the Edmonds Police Department. You're back. I didn't scare you away.
No, absolutely not. So I appreciate you reaching out, and we get to continue on these great episodes that yourself and Sergeant Hawley started several years ago.
Yes, we do. And of course, as everybody probably expected, we are doing this via Zoom, not in the video studio, to be mindful of social distancing rules. And speaking of that, our very first question has to do with some of the things that you, the police, are seeing as a result of COVID-19. There are some upticks of certain things that you're noticing, and why don't you tell me more, starting with the one that maybe you've been seeing recently?
Yeah, absolutely. So, unfortunately, even in these trying times in which we're all trying to do our part with regards to the community, keeping everybody safe and healthy, unfortunately, the criminals don't take breaks. And not only do they not take breaks, they're always looking for advantages in the system to be able to take advantage of us, of you and I and other citizens. So with regards to that, there has been, anecdotally an uptick that I'm seeing. I haven't ran any numbers, but I can tell you that the shoplifts are continuing. They're also on a slight increase. It is tax season, so IRS scams. Unemployment, because of the vast numbers of individuals filing for unemployment scams. We even had one of our own employees, somebody tried to file a claim under their name. So those things obviously are still present. One that's really kind of resurfaced, it's been around a while, but one that has definitely upticked here in the last several weeks is a bit of an extortion email scam. Primarily asking for payment via Bitcoin or threaten to release of private images. So how these work is somebody will get an email from an unknown sender advising that they have access or they have one of their login IDs or passwords. They'll say that, basically they've turned on their camera, we're aware of what websites you've been visiting. And if you do not pay this extortion ransom, we're going to release those videos or websites of your browsing history out into the World Wide Web in public. A lot of times they have obtained the information, which usually is valid. It may be an old account, it may be an old password, it may be a current password. There's a lot of stuff on the dark web, and that's where a lot of these information exchanges through data breaches and stuff occurs, and they've located that nugget of information and they're going to send that to you. Their primary purpose is to elicit that fear response. So what they really want you to do is click on something, potentially give them access to your computer, or to, no kidding, follow through with that payment. Now, being that it's Bitcoin, and a lot of people are not very familiar with Bitcoin, luckily, I'm not aware of anybody actually being out any monetary loss, but considering the emotional response it elicits, there's a lot of concerned people. So if you should receive one of those, we always recommend don't click, don't call, don't respond. Simply delete it for whatever account it might have mentioned, change your passwords, and then report it to us so we can kind of track on that. In addition to that, the FBI also has what they call the Internet Crime Complaint Center, the IC3. And you can file any internet-related crime reports to them as well. But we also ask that you file with us so we can have a little bit more localized response and talk to our citizens directly.
Okay, great. And as you and I were talking earlier, I've actually received 2 of those scam emails in the last week. And you're right, it just totally scared me when I saw that. It was like, what? Because they did have a partial password that I used to use quite a bit, and it was just weird. So good to know about the fact that you shouldn't click on anything, and that should contact police, and then also the FBI information, which I think I'll get that from you and make sure we have a URL to share with folks so they know where they can go to make that report too.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And that's also one that, we encourage where there's no actual loss. Individuals can also file an online report with the Edmonds Police Department
Right.
with us via the website.
Okay, good. We'll have that information too. And so so we've covered pretty much all of the other things well, one thing that you mentioned earlier that I don't think we've talked about yet is speeding, which I know the State Patrol has said they have seen a lot more people speeding because there's not as much traffic, right?
Yeah, so, law enforcement, we're a partner in this thing as well, and we appreciate everybody doing what they're doing to stay safe, stay at home. But the reality is that with less traffic on the roads, they're less congested. And even personally, I've noted, even driving along I-5, what used to be the norm, there's a considerable uptick in people passing me now. And whereas, we are not, although speed is still a thing and we still respond to it and we address it as appropriately, at the same time, we're a little reserved right now, purposely so, just trying to keep people safe, limit interactions, but definitely still addressing issues when they come up. So our officers aren't afraid to make a contact or pull over a car, but we are just kind of slowing a little bit, just limiting those interactions, both for the safety of our officers and the safety of the public in general, because we do come into contact with so many people that we just don't know their status. So we want to keep everybody safe. But yes, speeding, definitely less congestion. There's just a lot more prevalence of that, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers have noted that, whether it be in residential or along the freeways.
Okay, very good. Is there anything else we didn't talk about in terms of things you guys have noticed?
Mail theft.
Mail theft. Oh, yeah,
Mail
because
theft.
I meant to ask you about that because that is related to the unemployment. People are getting checks in the mail, right?
Yes, absolutely. Mail theft. So there's actually two parts to that. Number one, check your mail daily. If you're not going to be home, ask that trustworthy neighbor to pick it up for you. A lot of these mail thefts, believe it or not, are occurring during the day, but a lot of them are also occurring at night. One of the things that people don't realize is we get a false sense of security with locking mailboxes. They are great, and a lot of people have them now. The problem is that when we have those, people then get that sense of false security and they leave their mail in there for days.
Yeah.
And the reality is these are not Fort Knox safes. And when people let it stack up, a determined person with a screwdriver can easily pop that open and take that mail. So although a locking mailbox is a great deterrent, it's not a fail-safe, and even with that, you should be checking your mail daily.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing that information, and we will be back soon with another episode of Ask the Edmonds Cop.